Smith & Wesson 500, baby. All right, let's see how this impacts. What's going on, fire team? Welcome back to Shift Fire, the exploration and appreciation of military culture. My name is Cameron Fath, former Army Ranger, and with me as always, my awesome co-host here.
Is all right, former Green Beret. It's good to be back with you folks. Today we are doing an episode of War Wallet, where Cameron and I look at the same product, but at a few different price points. We look for the inexpensive, we look for the medium expensive, and we look for the very expensive, way out there, yonder. Today, folks, we would love to introduce to you Mike Levy. You know him out on the social media space as Knockout Lights. He's the owner of Assault Dynamics.
Former law enforcement, retired last year, SWAT guy for almost 14 years. Assault Dynamics is a performance-based firearms company. We dedicate most of our training to increasing performance for both civilians and law enforcement.
Mike, I know I consider you an expert in the field of ballistic protection, man. Can you give us a little breakdown of what 3 Alpha means?
When you look at an armor designation like 3A or 3 Alpha, that designation goes up and down, and what it really tells you is what type of ballistic defense these particular plates afford you. In the example of a 3A, this is a plate designed for just handgun rounds. Okay. And it'll go all the way up to like a 44 mag. Okay. So conventional handgun rounds, non-armor piercing, what we would typically encounter every day when it comes to a handgun. As the rating increases, as we go to a 3+ plate, or a 3 would be the next one, a 3++, a level 4 plate, and then up from there, you increase what that plate can actually defeat, all the way up to armor-piercing rounds. Most people think that stopping the bullet is the armor's primary objective. It's also where that energy is being transferred. A plate may very well stop the bullet, but that energy is going somewhere. When we start talking about back face deformation, that really applies to what is happening to that plate in relation to where it's attached on your body. And that energy could be transferred to your bones, to your organs. Some level of trauma mitigation or the way in which the armor was constructed would greatly reduce that back face deformation.
What kind of armor is a police officer going to use depending on what their job is?
Traditionally, patrol officers are going to use some sort or form of soft armor, and that'll usually be underneath the uniform. It's not an external vest, but there's been kind of a cultural change the last few years where officers are starting to wear kit. You know, they're starting to wear an external vest. And in that case, you have a carrier and a means of putting in something that will mitigate trauma more effectively and might cover you all the way up to rifle rounds. In that case, they're typically not going to use a level 3A plate in conjunction with 3A soft armor because it's redundant. You want to step that armor up into a 3, a 3+, or a 3++ plate, and now we have the soft armor integrated into the kit or the vest that they're using with a hard armor component that gives them that added protection for rifle rounds.
So we found these battle steel 3 Alpha polyethylene plates. You can get the set of 2 for around 60 bucks. We have the Utipef strike face steel plates. You can find them on Amazon for about 150, 160 bucks for the set of 2. And then from our friends over at Defender provided us their 3 Alpha plate, which run about 150 per plate. So you're looking at 300 bucks per set.
First impressions, we got the polyethylene, you know, real kind of flimsy steel plate. It's classic, kind of a little heavier. Yeah, a little heavier. And then the Defender armor, also made of polyethylene, a little more form, but a solid form right here.
A little less flimsy than our battle steel.
Yeah, but a lot lighter than our Utipef. This is like, what, less than a pound?
The whole reason we're here is we're gonna shoot these bad boys. You ready, Mike?
I'm ready, let's do it.
Let's do it, boss.
We got the soft armor plate attached to this rubber dummy. We want to make sure after the first round presumably stops the bullet. So after we take those 3 shots, we're going to see that the plate or the soft armor is going to begin to degrade.
You got him.
All right.
Now it's my turn.
Last man.
Right? Okay.
Here you go, get the job done. Almost took her off.
Very appropriate.
And pretty accurate to what you said. I mean, it feels like a potato chip at this point. If you want to check that out, man.
Oh yeah. You feel that indentation? right in there.
Yep, that's your deformation. It didn't look like any of the rounds actually penetrated.
It doesn't look like we got anything that went through, even though there looks like a hole. This cover is making it look awfully smooth.
It's rigid on the back side of it. I mean, if you tried to balance something on it, something would fall completely off.
Fair to say, getting shot doesn't feel good no matter what kind of body armor you're wearing. But this one, I'm guessing there's going to be some follow-on damage behind, you know, because you're wearing this thing right here, feeling, oh gosh, you got cracked ribs maybe, and maybe even some internal damage.
The energy's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it did stop the round from going through.
Battle still took the 9mm. Where do we want to go from here in terms of what we want to see this plate do?
I'm thinking we step it up. I mean, 40 is got a little bit more oomph to it. It's a heavier bullet, so it's traveling at a higher velocity, but why don't we just step it up to something more substantial?
Okay.
The 44 mag?
Let's go ahead and see how this goes, right? All right, let's take a look.
Did it survive is the real question.
Okay, it made it. Surprise, surprise, but that's some gnarly.
Say we take this off and take a look at the plate.
There's our 44. It's still hot and ready out of the kitchen. For 60 bucks, it stopped it.
You know, it's not surprising that budget type armor prevents rounds from penetrating it. It's really also about the trauma mitigation. So it's hard to describe what this effect would have on the human body, but we know a projectile won't be entering your body. So even budget armor, it's got some value.
Think we can knock a hole in it with the 500?
Let's give
Only
it a
way
shot.
to find out.
Smith & Wesson 500. This is a solid slug, right?
Yeah, it's full metal jacket. That's a big bullet. Look, we don't even have to move. The plate's right here.
Convenience.
Well, it doesn't look like it went through,
Really?
but this would go through half your body. At
Yeah,
least
right.
the
Yeah.
material would.
If you want to turn a ballistic plate into a nice mask, a nice Halloween mask,
Oh yeah, look at that.
ooh, it's still a little warm.
Oh, that's hot.
That is hot. So upgrading to the Utipef plates, right? Steel plate. Mike, what do you think we're gonna see versus the polyethylene plates?
Obviously, we're not going to have any type of back face deformation with steel plates. Really, the only two things or factors with steel is, number one, what's happening with that spall. We shoot that steel plate, where is all those fragments going? Are they going under my chin? Are they going in my eyes, my face? And probably the biggest thing for me is the overall weight. Considering that you might be in armor for 10 hours, 16 hours, do you really want to lug around some heavy steel plate? So sustainability becomes an issue, and that's what's so remarkably great about polyethylene is you get that light weight.
So we're gonna start with the 9mm, 3 rounds.
You broke the tape, Cam.
Sorry, I was a little low on that first one. All right, so let's rip it off and see. But looking at the back of the plate, barely any deformation.
I'm kind of surprised there's any at all. I mean, there's a process to making steel harder. You know, using heat, using cooling.
Well, that means we just got to bump it up, and let's see how it handles the 44 mag.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's check it out, man. Oh, you stacked it right on top of mine. Looking at it, did not penetrate, which we expected with steel.
As expected.
Looking at the sides, we noticed from the last time that there was actually the spalling coming out, basically being contained within the whatever material they're using to encase the steel plate. But there's some frags coming out. I noticed some new holes like right here. So I mean, instead of going in your face, which is good because it's being contained here, it's pushing out the side. So
Well, it just shows that there is some spalling mitigation as a component of this inexpensive plate, which we should expect. Most have some either coating or material on them, but pretty heavy to carry.
you know what else is heavy to carry? 500 Smith & Wesson.
Should we support them, like hold them up? Or?
You want to support me? Is that a short
You're
joke?
doing great, Cameron.
Okay,
We
Smith
believe
&
in you.
Wesson 500, baby. All right, let's see how this
I think
impacts.
it's gonna go.
Our poor dummy. Well, it didn't fly over to us this time.
Not as convenient, but hell, it knocked the socks off this guy. He's not even on the frame anymore.
He ain't even gonna get up. All right, what are we looking at? Where'd you get him, Cam?
That's a big hole. I mean, reaching in, didn't penetrate, and not as big as a rear deformation that I would expect, but looking at the bottom here, those are new holes.
And once again, back to sustainability, steel is great for protection, bad for lugging around.
Well, let's shift over to the Defender armor. I'm looking forward to shooting this, and let's do it. What do you say?
Let's do it, guys.
All right, so we are going to shoot the Defender level 3A polyethylene plate. And this is the one that's under a pound, easy
Yes.
to carry all day long. You wouldn't even know it was on. And we'll shoot 3 rounds of 9mm. Good? All right, here we go.
How's the rear deformation?
Rear deformation, there's some going on here.
Look at the margins of the plate. See how it's kind of concave? So what does that create by having the margins concave like this? So although there's some trauma here, the way the plate's designed, because of its curvature against your body, is you have some natural mitigation and space created by not only the design of the plate, but press the plate. Feel that?
Yeah.
So this is called trauma mitigation within the plate. And a lot of these polyethylene companies that are more budget do not put appropriate trauma mitigation inside their level 3 armor. Not only do you have a low amount of rear face deformation or back face deformation, but you also have trauma mitigation by this soft padding.
Awesome, man. Well, I think it held up pretty well. Let's bump it up and hit it with some 44 max.
You did stack
do
it.
it.
That's awesome.
Obviously stopped it. No penetration. Some back face deformation,
Back
but
here.
going back to the design of the plate, as you stated previously, it's designed for that, right? That trauma mitigation within it. Just looking at it from angle to angle, it's pretty flush still.
That thing was like a chip after the first few rounds.
Yeah.
So we still have some structure to the armor.
Yeah, it's not a potato chip.
Sorry. You
Yeah,
said
but you
potato.
can't do that with steel, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that with steel. That would be weird.
Step it up again, or? What do
Oh,
you-
yes.
This wouldn't be shift fire if we didn't. Let's hit it with the 5 hundo. Let's do it, man. Stopped it. But at what cost?
That's bad. That's gonna hurt. The interesting thing about this was almost a margin hit on the armor. A lot of armor companies test how far into the margins of the armor can we stop the projectile. And what they're doing is they're pricing their armor and giving it a specific size, but it's a rubber edging material. So you're not getting true coverage on the area. The plate may cover the whole thing, but you have really no ballistic protection on the margins.
Well, we shot all the plates. What do you guys say we go back to the table and do a little debrief here?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, gentlemen, here we are back at the table. We had inexpensive, moderate, and then Defender.
In my opinion, you know, I was coming into this with a pretty biased mind. I thought there's no way these budget plates are going to withstand what we're gonna throw at them. But I come back a changed man.
Let's do just quick rundown. So we got Battle Steel 3A.
Well, obviously we took the integrity of the armor out when we removed the outer shell. Lots of back face deformation, did its job. It's light. I would say for the amount of money that you spend on it, it fulfills its objective, right?
Utipef steel plate. We didn't expect that much back face deformation. We did encounter quite a bit of spalding with the fragments going internal to the packaging and then fragging outwards. We saw a little bit on the sides with the 9mm looking back to it, and then obviously the 500 did what the 500 is gonna do. But they held up and they did their job. Moving on finally to the Defender armor, took 9mm like a champ, maintained integrity. The curvature of the plate design allowed that to withstand, and that was something we expected.
But one thing I really liked is, you know, the average person might look at the curvature of the plate and be like, why is it curved? Why not just like a flat plate, or why not something maybe a little more flimsy and flexible? But talking about how that creates the space, which in itself is a bit of a mitigation kind of factor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, super cool to learn about, yeah.
Thanks, Mike, for joining us on
pleasure, guys.
you know, this episode of War Wallet. It was a pleasure having you out here.
Likewise.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure seeing you guys. Good work. Keep up the fight.
We will.
Where can people find you, Mike, out online?
Saltdynamics.com or my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok pages are all under Knockout Lights.
A special shout out to our friends over at Defender Armor. Thank you so much for supplying the plates for today. If you guys are looking into getting into a very high quality ballistic plate for your kit or your loadout, go ahead, check them out. You won't regret it.
Team, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Like the video, we appreciate that very much. Let us know in the comment section what you thought about this episode and what other products you'd like to see us review on future episodes of War Wallet. Until then, stay amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us, Fire Team. And as always, don't send us pictures of your rear deformation. Until next time.
Should we support them, like pull them up?
You want to support? Is that a short
You're
joke?
doing great, Cam.
Damn!
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, it's not a potato chip.
Sorry. You
Yeah,
said
but
potato.
you can't do that with steel, right?
Yeah, you got to do that with steel. That would be weird.